I'm so happy you joined us this evening, and thank you for the privilege of your time. You're going to see some slides tonight, and the first one really says it all because this class is about how to save sellers thousands of dollars when you're selling your home. So, after a brief introduction here, I will start with all those helpful hints. I'm Jan Wheeler, and I've practiced real estate in South Central Pennsylvania for 24 years. My lovely assistant, Gwen, who is also an agent, is going on her 5th year with Coldwell Banker Realty, and she'll be monitoring the chat. I promise I will not keep you for hours. As a former teacher, I can tell when the audience gets too much of a good thing, and the teacher is only the one who believes it's still a good thing. I will also give you an opportunity to book a one-to-one call should you have any questions before leaving the session. So please try to stay present to hear all 5 mistakes. Okay? Alrighty. Now you're thinking about selling your home, but maybe selling your home is new to you. And I have some questions before we get started. How are you feeling? Look at that slide. Are any of those 5 feelings something that maybe you have entertained about being concerned, stressed out, intimidated, or anxious? Uncertain. You may be feeling all 5 of them, or maybe you're just torn because this house holds so many memories. Something you need to take to heart, though, is that you take the memories with you. The house does not have any right to those memories. They are yours. If you're feeling one or more of these concerns, you're in the right place because the goal tonight is to eliminate those concerns by giving you knowledge. Let's take a look at that goal. The first thing to remember is I'm selling my house and I want to do it right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this goal for tonight to give you the best night's sleep you've ever had since you've heard that, oh, I've got to sell my house. Make sure that you have something to write on. You may want to take notes. Knowledge is power. Okay, so let's jump right in. The new reality of selling is very different than it used to be. Now, sellers can make costly mistakes, and we're not going to do that. So, the next steps are going to give you the strategy in a specific situation so that you can feel more confident. For instance, don't you agree that the more you know, the more you will be willing to deal with certain situations? And your peace of mind, even if you haven't sold a home in 40 or 50 years, now you can have the confidence to approach the market with the information that is going to give you the power. Here is an opportunity for you to book a call should you be taken away by maybe one of your children who had a little tumble or has to have mommy or daddy right now. There will be about 5 different times for you this evening to go through this process, and it's just going to be a one-to-one call, and we'll go over everything that you might have missed this evening. Okay, here's my market snapshot. It tells you all about everything that I've sold in the last 18 months. That's all well and good, but you want to know how that is going to help you to get your house sold. I come to you with years of practical experiences, helping sellers in numerous different selling situations. Do we have any folks out there who are selling for the first time? You bought this home thinking it would be your forever home, and now You've outgrown it. Anyone who has made this property your forever home for 30, 40, 50 years? Anyone? Raise your hand. Actually, 2 years ago, I had a seller who purchased her home in 1966. You do the math. And she was selling after 60 years. We worked very, very closely to give her the confidence and the steps that she needed because it's a process. You have to follow the steps towards that goal. Okay, in April, the 2026 housing market highlights for central Pennsylvania are here. And when you look at those statistics, you realize that you need an active realtor who's working in the market every single day. During 2020 to 2024, listings were down considerably, and buyers were anxious to get a roof over their heads. At the end of 2025 and this year, we see, as I said, a change. Listing numbers are beginning to inch up compared to that COVID time. And South Central Pennsylvania market is still hot and robust. Here's what we've learned in 24 years, though, and you may not be thinking like this. Sellers don't think like buyers. Okay, what does that mean? With listing numbers inching up, a professional agent by your side will have the ability to see your sale from both sides, not just the seller's side, but also the buyer's view. This may be one of the most misunderstood ideas in selling your home. Sellers must think like buyers? Say what? Why? If you don't have the answers to this question, the presentation will provide some of them for you. Why does this matter? As I've mentioned, I'm an active agent, and I can assure you that the statement on the slide is accurate. Let's find out what these changes are. And you can see the slide that says the real estate market has fundamentally changed. Buyers have completely different priorities, and most sellers are still using outdated playbooks that don't address today's market. Here's the market shift idea in this slide. In 2020, 21, 22, 23, and the early part of 24, buyers had FOMO, FOMO. Does anyone know what words fit that acronym? Raise your hand. Gwen, do you see any hands? It means fear of missing out. FOMO. During COVID, buyers knew they needed a sanctuary, a place of refuge, and they acted impulsively to get that place. Attitudes toward features of properties changed. For example, an in-ground pool was now the most desirable feature in their place of refuge. Backyard retreats, a big plus. An in-home office, as most people worked from home, except for real estate agents, of course. We were working outside the home. Interest rates were the lowest in recent history during that time period. But look at the chart in the late 2025 and 26. Now, instead of FOMO, buyers are payment focused. Interest rates have increased, not into double digits as they were in the 1980s when I was selling 16.5% mortgages, but noticeably higher. And this makes buyers focused on the monthly payments. So, interest rates and affordability. This chart, as you can see, says as the interest rate goes up, the affordability of the property goes down, meaning buying power is reduced. My purpose is also to show you that although interest rates have increased, they are not causing buyers to wait to buy, especially as we progress through 2026 and beyond. It's now a known belief that it could be another 30 years before we even get a hint of a 3% or 4% interest rate. So, guess what? People need a roof over their heads. And that makes for buyers being out there. But you are the seller. Okay, so after one of this presentation on our one-to-one call, I'll give you a selling edge. You will understand not only your position in the marketplace, but the person who's making the largest purchase in their life, the buyer's position, something agents who work in the market daily experience firsthand. The last statement in orange on this slide says, the key is understanding what today's buyers truly want and positioning your home accordingly. Let's start with the first mistake to see what that means and about how you need to position your home. Okay? Mistake number 1 is not leveraging payment-driven buyer mindset. Okay, here's where the agent with experience comes into play. Your agent must not be a listing agent only. Your agent needs to help you see these 5 mistakes and outline ways to prevent one or more of them from making the difference between your home being passed over for others who have a seller already in the 2026 mindset. I have proved this to myself over and over with a recent referral buyer. This buyer was qualified to buy up to $1.2 million. His concern was payment, and so he only looked at $700,000 to $800,000 properties. We closed last month on a $759,000 home. Could he have purchased up to $1.2 million? Yes, that's what his lender said, but he did not want that payment. That's just a perfect example of someone working in the market each and every day. So, the buyer psychology in 2025, let's take a look into that. Keeping in mind that this presentation is to help you, as the seller, maximize your benefits, you must also understand the mindset of the buyer. Number 1, payment driven is important. I've proved that with my example. Number 2, value scrutiny. We will address this on how does your property match up to others at the same price. Number 3, deliberate pace. Buyers now taking a little more time to decide. In COVID times, we had properties going under contract in 2 hours of putting a sign out in the front yard. Number 4, information overload. Probably the worst because there's a lot of information available out there on the internet and from your brother's cousin's uncle, but that information can be conflicting and oftentimes misunderstood. So, take a look at this simple bar graph that illustrates how much the selling price affects the payment for a buyer. Now you might be stressing about the price of your home. It's not the price per se, it's finding ways for the buyer to afford your home. I will give you some ideas here presently because working with a knowledgeable realtor will get you to use these ideas and get that buyer. Okay, this slide is basically a summary of mistake number 1 that we've been discussing. Now, what can we do about it? We can understand it. We can value it. We can make sure we get your house at market value. And does anyone know what market value is? Market value is not what I say your house is worth. It's definitely not what your brother who bought his house in 1990 says it's worth. And it may not be what you say it's worth. Then what is market value? Market value is what a ready, willing, and able buyer says it is. In other words, the offer that is made on your home. Now, can we change that offer? Absolutely. We can negotiate it. And that's another step in this process. So if you're thinking about this so far and you have more questions than you can probably ask here, I want you to pick a calendar date while we have some available, and I can let you know how lenders can offer payments on your property that would draw in more buyers. That's right. Different lending programs can help you get that buyer in place. And you say, well, I'm not the buyer, I'm not getting the mortgage. No, that's true. But don't you want to have more buyers available in that pool? Well, let's get on the calendar here and talk about just how that works. Mistake number 2. Okay, selling first, then scrambling to buy. How well do you do with being rushed? Let's imagine your home is on the market. It's beautifully presented. It's priced competitively. And boom, offers come in almost immediately. That's great, right? Hold on a minute. Remember, you didn't want to buy before you sold. Now, the buyer, the agent, and you, we all have problems because you have nowhere to move. We don't want you to be in that position. Okay? I don't think you want to be in that position either. So, this is that traditional approach that everybody has thought they should use. Now, do you want to spend all this additional money on temporary housing, storage, moving 2 times instead of just 1? I know I would want to simplify. Let's discuss ways to accomplish this feat, which is a feat for a professional to handle and save you the money that goes along with all these extra costs when you abide by the traditional approach. Okay, disclaimer here, we're not lawyers, we're not lenders, we're not magicians, but we are experts. And as experts in the real estate field, I have the ability to direct you to the experts who can set you up to show your home in the best light, as well as get you the spending power you may require to move on to your forever home. The next step will be most demanding. This step is trust and belief that it can be done. Yes, you can sell and buy together. I know it's a scary thing, but it's a beautiful thing. It's like a ballroom dance with both dancers in perfect step to the music. But you must believe it can happen, and you must trust the professionals working with and for you. And it does work. I have done it. Ta-da! Here is your move, simplified, to save you money. the bridge loan, or as it's sometimes known, the swing loan. This gives the sellers so much more leverage and peace of mind. Is there anyone out there who is familiar or has ever heard of the swing loan or the bridge loan? Maybe you never thought of it. We have lenders who have favorable rates and terms for a loan on the equity in your present home. You pay only interest on the borrowed portion for an agreed upon time. In the meantime, your home is listed. I'm working to get it sold, and you are now able to look for a new home because of this bridge loan. Yes, now the lender's going to have fees, but those fees may be negotiated, and you may shop around for different rates. What does this really give you? It gives you peace of mind and time. And what price can you put on peace of mind and on your time? Once I've scheduled your current property to close in the morning of a particular date, your bridge loan gets paid, and you get to purchase your new home scheduled for the afternoon of the same day. Wow, amazing. I have made this work numerous times for many sellers. Now, what is the difference here? Who was aware that this was even an option? Who's beginning to see that the real estate agent and the lender are working for you, the seller, even though we're thinking about this payment, this mindset now? Okay, some ideas presented here before we access mistake number 3. If you have any questions, I hope you are jotting them down. And then when you schedule that appointment for the one-to-one call, we can get down to the nitty-gritty for your particular situation. Just click while there are still optimal dates available and times, because I'm sure you don't want to be talking after 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening or very, very early in the morning. Let's look at mistake number 3. Pricing for wiggle room and losing leverage. Okay, if you're asking why overpricing reduces your negotiating power, I have the answer. Knowledgeable agents and sellers are pricing a smidge. Who knows how big a smidge is? Just a smidge below market value. So when your home appears at a price above other homes in the similar location and with similar features, buyers are directed to the other homes first if yours is not at a competitive price. Yours is left sitting. So you're actually helping to sell those other properties, aren't you? By pricing your home with, quote, wiggle room. This was a mindset from many, many years ago. Again, it's a mistake when the old folks say, oh, you can always come down, but you can't go up in price. That mindset is carried over from the previous millennium and is probably the most dangerous for a seller. In today's market, the strategy is to price, as I said, a smidgen below market value and let the location, the features, and the condition of your property bring in offers above market value. I did say offers because we are still getting offers above list, many of them. And pricing for wiggle room makes you lose leverage. So this is the old pricing mindset. Wiggle room is necessary. It is not necessary because it reduces your buyer's pool. Testing the market is unnecessary. when you believe in the ability and you know the know-how of your active real estate agent who has given you a range for pricing. Use that range. Okay, we can always attract lowball offers rather than a competitive offer, which is above list usually. Jump to the bottom note on this slide with me, please. Overpriced homes are often competitively invisible to qualified buyers. Well, maybe not completely invisible, but definitely obscured by the homes which are competitively priced. Steps 1 to 4 are items which a good active agent considers when advising you on the list price. Perhaps you never thought of a range. Your agent gives you a price range for the listing. Let's say $365,000 to $375,000. Okay, this is reached by reviewing active, pending, and sold properties, which compare your location and your home's features. What is the best strategy to pricing within that range? Your agent, who is working in this market every day, will discuss how a buyer shops and views these points concerning pricing bands. I work with the market every day, and I can share exactly what makes today's buyers interested in your property. I have ideas to help you get your property looking like the special one within that price band range. Buyers also study DOM. Does anyone know what that acronym stands for? It stands for days on market. An overpriced property will have a high DOM count, and a buyer may shy away thinking there may be additional issues with this property, and that is the reason it's not selling. Okay, in addition to the fact that it's overpriced. So you must stop and ask yourself, is it worth it to be able to come down? I think not. Now, 4 ideas which lead to success. Pricing at market value or a smidge below. That is the most important. Target pricing bands. Example, a buyer looking to spend $400,000 may search $374,900 properties to $424,900 properties. So it's a band range. You notice we're not going to 375 or 425 because then that puts us in a different grouping. A properly priced at market value home creates urgency among buyers. And when urgency is created, guess what? Competition brings stronger offers and multiple offers. So let's get the price right on your property. Let me reiterate. The first 2 weeks on the market are critical. The National Association of Realtors has long promoted a time-learned lesson. 10 days on the market without a showing and 2 weeks on the market without an offer indicates that your property is probably overpriced. Let me say that one more time. 10 days on the market without a showing and 2 weeks on the market without an offer indicates that your property is what? Probably overpriced. A seller never gets a second chance to make a first impression. The MLS clock ticks from day one. If you've heard, I can take my house off the market and put it back on at a lower price and it looks new. Not true. The number of days on the market will be a blinding red light to buyers. Believe it or not, buyers check that, days on market. And the greater the number of days, the greater the direct effect on the offer price. Right now, that number of days for a property to go from listing to under contract is around 32 days. It will vary with the market, and your active realtor will be able to explain that to you. All right, these 6 items can be successfully managed by that realtor. A watchful eye on your listing can tell who's looking and who's seriously interested in making an offer. When a buyer notes your property as a favorite on the list in the multi-list, an agent gets a notification and can and should contact the buyer's agent to notify them that their buyer is interested in you in this listing. Can you see how that would be helpful? Having your active agent analyze these 6 steps will also give a read on the market in your area to detect any needed changes to the price or the condition of your property. That market is changing daily, weekly, monthly. It needs your attention and your agent's attention. Okay, let's talk about mistake number 4. Do you like to know where you're going? Do you make a plan? Do you use a map? In this digital marketing arena, a listing that's missing a floor plan has less interest for the buyer on the hunt. Less stimulation can cause that buyer to skip over your listing. We do not want that. How do we keep a buyer viewing your home longer? I offer you a list on your listing, not only a floor plan with room dimensions, but a Matterport of the interior and the exterior views. What's a Matterport, you say? A Matterport gives the buyer on the other end the ability to tour your home step by step on the phone, on a PC. Buyers anywhere on earth can get a tour and move through your property room by room, back to front, side to side, top to bottom. This is given at no cost to you as my special gift to enhance the listing. The photos are very, very nice, but the Matterport really makes the difference to keep buyers interested in your property and spending more time online looking at it. See the footnote on this slide? 93% of buyers spend more time looking at a listing with a floor plan. So this step 4 ends up enticing more buyers and adds value to your listing. The diagram here, when I would put it on the market, would have dimensions added by the special Matterport camera. Wow, what a deal. Book your time on my calendar to review all the steps and to get more of your questions answered. Has anyone had the thought that, wow, I never thought of working my property to get it sold like this? Let's get to know and trust each other. That way, all these 5 steps fall into place, and it's a win-win adventure with you getting more money for your property. Now's the time to get on that calendar. Let's talk about mistake number 5, negotiating. Negotiating takes the personality out of the offer. As a seller negotiating for your property, you think of all the fun times you've had in this property, memorable family events, visits from friends and neighbors, and it's difficult to be objective. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, I had a seller who was getting divorced and wanted to treat the buyer as her outlawed spouse, putting up firewalls at every turn of the process until I showed her that the spouse was no longer in the equation. Then we were able to successfully negotiate the offer. Can you see how that personal attraction to your property is not good? You need someone who is not that close to it. So, since I'm not emotionally tied to the property, I'm therefore able to negotiate for you on a level playing field. What are some of the things we negotiate? Good question. Take a look at this slide that says focusing only on price versus terms. Digging deeper into that and into the negotiating process, most people think right away that price is the most important thing. However, I have found with many transactions that terms can be just as valuable and bring more value to the table, okay, as the price does. Let's see what that means. Who agrees with the first term, closing timeline? That is optimal. You bet it is. Meeting closing dates keeps the transaction moving forward. The thought of the next one, inspections, gives some sellers angina. But keep in mind, inspections are also for your protection as the seller, not just for the buyer. That way, it keeps everything on the up and up and on a level playing field. First of all, would be an all cash offer. That's always a winner, right? Back in the day, cash buyers could negotiate thousands and thousands of dollars. Not so today, because buyers can be just as competitive as a cash offer. Let's talk about a well qualified buyer putting a large amount of money down. Okay, this is going to be easy to handle for the buyer and their agent, and it could be as valuable or more valuable than that cash offer if you get a well qualified buyer who's getting a loan. What about healthy earnest money deposit being offered? Much interest and dedication that buyer has. Appraisal waivers are becoming a common thing for a strong buyer. So, again, we're talking about loans here versus a cash buyer. What if you need a week or so after closing to remain in the property because maybe your home is not ready? Wouldn't that be a perk you could be offered by the new buyer that would add as much value as a higher price? Favorable terms can be worth 2 to 5% more in value. Each situation is very different than the other. So, as your list agent, I'll be working for you. I want you to always believe that. Even when I show you how the buyer's thinking, that's for your benefit. Let's look at some of the strategies. Set clear cut priorities. That is what is most important to you. Is it closing time? That's the most important, or selling price? The safety of an inspection? Or maybe you could offer a home warranty in place of that home inspection. That's an interesting thought. Create an offer deadline and review all offers within that time frame. Request the highest and best offer only. Contrary to the escalated bid offer, a highest and best offer will give you the most serious buyers. Can you afford to trade terms for price? You will be the one to determine and examine that financially to see where the most benefit is delivered to you. Negotiations, as we said, add 3 to 5% of value to the transaction. Disclaimer, Every property and owner is different. Values noted here can vary, but look at those figures on this slide. The bottom line remains the same. Do you want to lose money? I'm pretty sure your answer is no. So, what do we have to do to not lose money in this selling transaction? I suggest you write down or take notes or a screenshot of these 5 mistakes that we have just discussed. And when you book your time for a call with me, I can review them again and you can decide how each pertains to your particular situation to save you from losing money on your transaction. Got that screenshot? Do you feel more confident in your ability to sell in this market? Type yes in the chat box. That would be very helpful. I'm hoping that you're more confident, and I know that I can sell for the best price in the time frame you need. As I've said, each situation is so specific, and that's why it's so important that you book a one-to-one call. Here is your last opportunity to discuss with me a marketing plan that would be best in your particular situation. Because remember, a plan without a goal is just a dream. The goal is to work with a professional to achieve the plan that leads you to your goal. Stop dreaming and start calling. Thank you for your time and good night.